All right, we're bringing you the very latest that's taking place in Ranthambore. We're joined by Dr. Dharmendra Khandal, who is of Tiger Watch, an NGO that works very closely there in Ranthambore with various issues. There have been 3 deaths of humans in the last 3 months, within a period of 3 months in Ranthambore and all around the fort area of Ranthambore. These are said to be siblings, sub-adult cubs of Tigress Arrowhead. And the latest death is of a pujari who worked at a Jain temple in the fort. And this has led to a lot of anger and outrage as well among the locals. Dharmendra, if you can tell us, what is the very latest right now?
Right now, they shifted the male tiger also into enclosure, and they earlier shifted the female Kankati who killed 2 people, and Ranger's death, the male also involved. So both of them shifted to enclosures, and one of the female they are trying to catch, and sooner or later they will shift her to another enclosure, I think.
So these are all the 3 cubs of Arrowhead, and to just tell, to just recount the number of deaths. One was a 7-year-old child who was picked up when he was accompanying his grandmother to the fort area, to the temple there. Then there was a ranger who was killed, and then you have this priest who was picked up. Kankati was said to be responsible for the first 2 deaths, and now the male cub of Arrowhead is said to be responsible for this latest death of the priest, and the search is on also for the third cub.
Yeah, in 1.5 months they killed 3 people, and it was very unfortunate. And yeah, they semi domesticated these cubs because they were feeding all the cubs and mother in the forest. So this was their mistake, and but now they are on the trek, and they will shift few tigers to other areas.
All right, if you could tell us more about the reason. We've spoken about how this is very abnormal behavior, but the reason why we think that these cubs are behaving the way they are, why they have no fear of humans, and they see human as a free game.
They are not trained to kill natural prey. First thing, second, they were like tamed animals, and their fear for human beings was not there, and they were like semi-domesticated animals. Whenever the
If you could
vehicle,
tell us why, if you just take us back to what happened with Arrowhead during her pregnancy, and Arrowhead again is a very beloved tiger of Ranthambore.
so Arrowhead is the from the generation of Machli. She's the great granddaughter of Machli, and she's a 10.5 years old female. In 2023, they uh, found that the female is facing some tumor problem in her leg, and then day by days her situation deteriorated, and then they started feeding her. By the time she also gave cubs, she delivered 3 cubs, and cubs become also habituate of the live bait, and then the female was not able to hunt, and yeah, they all of them for the all the 4 cubs became habitual of the free food, can say. And few other tigers in the vicinity, the daughter Riddhi of earlier from the earlier litter of Arrowhead
Hmm.
also come in the same area, and she was also feeding on the same carcass, and this was the going on since 2 years. So they actually spoiled few of the tigers in the area, and ultimately we were opposing internally, but yeah, uh, the untrained cubs, can say, now they become fully grown tigers, and now they separated with mothers. They are searching new territory. They started going in the human habitation. The Kankati came many times outside the park, and she was roaming. They darted twice and put her again in the forest. And by the time we suggested that we should catch these tigers, and even the forest field director written to the bosses that these cubs are not capable to hunt naturally, and we should shift them to into some enclosure or human free areas. So human free area means enclosures, basically
Hmm.
kind of zoo. So still they are in the fear of the tiger lovers. So they don't want to say that it's a zoo, but it's a captive enclosure. Their life will be almost captive in the captive stage. So this is the
Right.
situation.
Dharmendra, now we do know that Ranthambore is a very popular park. It gets a lot of attention. And, as we said, as I said earlier, Arrowhead is a very popular tigress. But this also becomes problematic, isn't it, for the forest department to then deal with the issues that arise there? Because every step that they take is scrutinized very closely, and then there's a huge uproar. Had they not helped Arrowhead at that time, and perhaps she would have died and her cubs would have died, and that would have been seen as a very cruel act. But perhaps that is, nature just taking its course. So this is also an issue that we have seen in Ranthambore, and that has led to this situation today.
So Ranthamore is like visited by many hundreds of people, and they are regularly visit the area. Social media activists and media people and unaware media, they are all putting lots of pressure on this management of Ranthamore, and they are taking sometime or many time foolish decision to keep animals in the, even after the problem animals or whatever the decision is, also always taken in the pressure of media, or social media can say nowadays. They are more
Yes.
active. Every day they are following all these issues and giving their ideas, suggestions. And in this slide, they took many wrong decisions, and they influenced all these decisions wrongly. And that's why they are not taking all these animals, and they become very late in shifting all the tigers, and ultimately 3 people killed by tigers. This happened. We
Right. And
suggest recently they formed a committee, and 15 days back we suggested that we should lift all these 3 cubs from the forest. They lifted one of the female cub, but you can see that in within the 500-meter vicinity they killed 3 people. It was unfortunate, and it is the symbol can say that this is the result of bad decisions or bad management.
a man-made disaster, and 3 people have lost their lives, and this is solely because of this abnormal interference that took place. These tigers were brought up in this manner. As we said, they were the 3 cubs, and now they're sub-adults. They've separated from their mother, and they need to now fend for themselves. That's what Dharmendra is telling us, and they're not able to hunt, and that's why they're killing humans right now. Now, Dharmendra, when the first death took place of the 7-year-old child, at that time as well, there was a lot of concern, and there was talk of shifting the tigers, but there was a lot of reluctance also. If you could just tell us more about that.
So that time was the situation was not reluctant, but the some of the people like were confused that even in the department within the management they were confused that we should shift or not, because they spent lots of energy to save these cubs, and they
Yes.
were emotionally attached with these cubs. Even the Valmik and other senior people informed or called up to the management that we should shift all these 3 tigers to enclosure, otherwise there is no hope from them. Still people, there are some people still feeling that we should release them in other forests, but we don't have other forests free from human habitations. We declared 3 new tiger reserves in Rajasthan. Now we have 5 tiger reserves, but all the tiger reserves have a high density of human beings. They are full of villages and villagers. So this is the situation. Where to shift? There are only enclosures. Unfortunately, in Kota, there is a big enclosure which is 82 square kilometer area. They initially planned to introduce tigers through that enclosure, and they developed this area into a disturbed part of the tiger reserve. That part is useful. They can shift few tigers there, and they can and they should also shift female arrowhead to other area. I'm suggesting about the mother also, because still
Okay.
they are feeding sometime. I'm getting news that they are still feeding the female, and because she came outside the park, and they have no idea how to retain her inside the forest. This is the only way to keep her in the forest, to give her food, free food. That's the only way. And she's amazing, but she kill porcupine, she kill crocodile, but still she need proper diet and care. So if they want to uh, like because if we provide free food to her, then
Hmm.
the other female or other males can come and they also consume the same free bait given to arrowhead. So they can spoil other tigers also. So basically they should shift all 4 tigers. They shifted 2 of them, but there are 2 more tigers, I think.
And so now, just to wrap this up, you see there's no other way. These tigers cannot be kept in an area where there's any possibility of human interface, because they've already killed humans. We can see they have no fear. They don't know how to hunt. And so you think now they'll just have to be kept in an enclosure, or hopefully a large enclosure for the rest of their lives.
The large enclosure is equivalent to many. This is 82 square kilometer area, which is
Yes.
larger than many sanctuaries. Like Ranthamore's Savai Mansingh sanctuary is double of this. So where 10 or 15 tigers lives. So I think 82 square kilometer in this enclosure, more than 3-4 tigers can live. So I think they should use this enclosure and shift these tigers to there to uh, to stop breeding between the family. They should not introduce male there. They can release 2 females there, and they can put another male there, and they can live or learn wild tactics. This is important.
Okay, well, we'll have to wait and see what the forest department finally decides to do. But a very, tragic situation, really, that these cubs became man eaters in this manner. 3 people have lost their lives, as we said, one 7-year-old, one ranger, and finally a priest who had been living there for several years now, we believe, at the Jain temple in the fort. However, he was killed by one of these tigers, and these are the offsprings of Arrowhead. So we'll continue to watch what's happening in Ranthamore very closely. Thank you so much, Dharmendra Khandal, for joining us.
Thank you.